I get to do my favorite thing in the world, and that is talk football. I'm using the artificial background, kind of look like a ghost there. Corey! Oh, man, I start off the show strong with Corey, a.k.a. the Red Sea. Corey, I'd love to know what your opinion is of your Cardinals draft. I'm going to kind of get into it later on, but full disclosure, I was very impressed with the Arizona Cardinals. I really wanted to wait and do this tomorrow because there's just so much. What am I, like a ghost over here? But anyway, there is just so much kind of fluctuation. When I originally just did it now, and usually I do a couple rough drafts, but when I started off, I had two teams between a C- and a D+, a C-. No teams got Cs. Three teams between a C and a C+, 6 C+, 5 B-, three teams between a B and a B-, 3 Bs, 4 teams between a B and a B+, 2 B+, 1 team between A- and a B+, 1A-, 1A. And what I did is kind of just bumped everybody down. I ended up with, I should have made a graphic on here, but I should have. Here's what I ended up with: 1A, 1A-, 3 B+, 4 Bs, 5 B-, 6 C+, 6 Cs, 3 C-, 1 D+, and 2 Ds. Even the teams I gave low grades to, I really, really liked what they did. It's just that I really wanted to get a sliding scale where I could have 1 win, 1 loss, and then slot 3 for each letter grade. It was just this draft was so hard to grade. It was so hard to grade. I really wish I had more time and I could release this tomorrow, but I said I was going to do it today. So the grades I'm going to provide are kind of a work in progress. I won't go back and regrade them, but if you don't like the grade I gave you on your team, go ahead and let me know what I got wrong, because it was hard. It was hard. I absolutely love it. I agree completely. You got a couple really, really good players. Will Johnson the second was great. Perry, I'm so glad to see you, brother. Funk, what's good? It's good that you're here. I'm glad to see you, man. I am so glad to see you. I'm already reading your other comment. I'm going to go in order, though. Trey, what's up, brother? I'd love to know how you think your Eagles did. Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round. How do you feel about it? I am going to steal. Jeff, it's good to see you, brother. I'm going to steal what the NFL Network said. It's a lottery ticket. You can easily cut him. It's no big loss. He could be your day 1 starter, and it's not a big deal. Getting him in the 5th round, nobody would have balked if they traded down, took him 5th overall, get him in the 5th round. It's a lottery ticket. The Cleveland Browns needed a quarterback. They used a 5th round pick on Kenny Pickett. They traded Dorian Thompson. I called him DTR. So you traded DTR in the 5th, so you get Kenny Pickett. Joe Flacco, free agent, relatively cheap. Kid out of Oregon late in the 3rd. I think that was a Stefanski pick, and then lottery ticket on Shedeur Sanders. You can cut him. It's no big loss. Dan's going to give the Lions a D plus at best. That's all right, though. I'm seeing us the Lions. I'm used to seeing the Lions get destroyed. I'm going to go over to positives. I did not give the Lions a good grade. I'm and main reason is that they had a trade where they gave up. I have 4 pages worth of trade notes alone. The trade where they gave up their 2 compensatory picks plus the 102 pick to get the 70 was just it was really bad. Keep in mind, Jacksonville didn't do anything with those picks. Another thing that I also considered is the Cleveland Browns have an extra first-round pick. The Rams have an extra first-round pick. This is really interesting. Houston has an extra 2nd, 3rd, and 4th next year. Jacksonville has, of course, the 2 compensatory picks in the 3rd round. New England has an extra 4th. Chicago has a 4th. Philly has a 5th. Baltimore and the Jets flip-flop 5 and 6. That did go into consideration. That did go into consideration for my draft grades. So, yeah. I was very surprised. A little love for Perry. Oh, my God. The B in the Back Talk brothers. The great one. The talent. Gooch. Speak the boogeyman, and he appears. And Gooch, I 1,000% understand. I was bummed out because I was really hoping to get you and Keaton for day 2. I'm a little worried because Keaton had a date with triplets, and I've not heard from him since. So he may be laying in a ditch somewhere, but hopefully he's not. I think the Eagles had a decent draft. I did too. I gave our draft to C costly for the costly makeup. I think our players are solid. Losing out 3 starters hurts. Yeah, I'm going to go into that. I haven't had a chance yet. Cleveland needs to be on Hard Knocks, just a quarterback room the entire time. Absolutely. Dylan Gabriel is his name. Yeah, 4 guys in there, and all 4 can make an excuse of why they should start. If I'm Dylan Gabriel, even though I'm the odd man out, why can't I start? I threw for 8 billion yards in college. I won a lot of games. I'm built for this offense. It's an offense designed to get you out of the pocket. You know, it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't be on Hard Knocks last year. Can't be on back-to-back years. It's a shame. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Deshaun Watkins. I didn't even consider it. Philly's draft was good. Houston's was good. A. Perry. Okay, so I'm going to get into it. I'm going to start off with my D's. You know what? I don't think you guys really need to see me. I'm going to start off with Detroit. I was going to start off with Miami. Let's just start off with Detroit. I gave them a D, and I want to be very clear. I like what they did in the draft. Tyleik Williams, really, really good player. I didn't have a first-round grade on him, which is okay. But he's a good player. Keaton, we are all worried. How was the date with the triplets? We all want to know. Oh, I got Denver Gator in the house. Watson is injury and the Browns move on from Flacco's old. Kenny could be traded or next year until Sanders and the other guys ready. You never know. It's going to be fun. I hope Tesla could stub next receiver and everybody can go over it. Well, let's go over this here real fast. Tyleik Williams, I did like. Tate Rutledge and Miles Frazier. Miles Frazier's 5th-round pick. He could be a starter at guard. I also liked Rutledge late in the second. Isla Tesla. I really had a hard time with the trade up and getting him at top of the 3rd. I thought there was a lot of other players that could have been available. You got a 6th-round player from Egypt as an edge rusher. That's something that I really, really, really struggled with. I really wanted the Lions to address edge sooner than later. That's why I gave him such a hard grade. Um, Kenny Pickett, I think so too. I think he's the plan to be. I think he'll be the starter day one. To be perfectly honest, I said that before you drafted Shador, but we'll see. Was in Toledo for the weekend. Hey, we're all glad the date with the triplets went well. Remember, always call them baby. I do like the guards that you got. Both of them are starting caliber. You got a guy late in the six, mid six actually, who could potentially start. Tesla could be a stud. I didn't have him rated that high, and I really had a hard time with the trades, and then I was really, really, really disappointed you just addressed the edge. I thought that was really, really, really key in my opinion. So that's part of it. But there's a chance you get two starters. If Tesla becomes a starter, then this is a much better draft. But the trades were really bad. And I don't get why you didn't address edge before round 6. That was something I thought they should have been addressed in the first couple of rounds. But you have a chance to get some good starters here. Again, it's not that you didn't get good players. It's just I thought other teams did a lot better. With the Miami Dolphins, Kenneth Grant has as much talent as any defensive tackle. 13 was a reach, but I kept on mocking Kenneth Grant to Miami, so I don't have too much of a problem with that. They got some really, really, really good players late in this draft. Ollie Gordon II, they got him at the top of the 6th round. He was injured his senior year. His junior year won the Doak Walker Award as a nation's top running back. Didn't test out particularly well, ran a 4.61. I think if he ran a 4.51, you could have argued he could have gone in the 3rd round, maybe even in the 2nd. Quinn Ewers in the 7th round is a guy that I also really, really like, and you get him in the middle of the 7th. You could have gotten him in the 4th round. Nobody would have balked. Here's the thing. They made a really big trade to get up to 37. I thought this was a terrible trade. Jonah Savina, I had a 3rd round grade. You get him in top of the 2nd. And here's the thing with Jonah Savina. If he ends up being the starting left tackle, I have to completely reconsider this. But I thought he was a guard. He's listed as a guard. Here's another thing. They stockpiled on late round picks. You got 3 5th, 1 6th, and 2 7th, but you only had to pick in 1 and 2. I instead of trading up, because they gave up a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 4th to get Jonah Savina. This is a team that really struggled in free agency. They lost a lot of pieces. I would have thought that this would be a team that would trade down, acquire more draft capital. Instead, they didn't. They plugged a guard and a defensive tackle hole. I do like what they did late, but this is a team I didn't really understand. This looks like a team that had a roster set in stone. I like the Lions draft more than I like the Dolphins draft. Perry, everybody wants to get hung up in capital, but everybody screams they trust Brad and he kills it on draft day until they do something. Rhinos Roundtable. It's good to be back, brother. I'd love to know how you think your Colts did. So let's move on to the one team I gave a D+ to, the Green Bay Packers. The one thing about the Green Bay Packers is that they got some really good players. I just don't understand why they drafted 2 receivers. This did not make a lot of sense to me. The one position on the team I felt really good about was receiver. I was really confused about that. Anthony Belton, I don't hate the guy. If he ends up starting on this offensive line, then great. I had a 3rd round grade on him. Savon Williams, I liked, but he was the other 3rd round receiver. Well, they only had one, but he was the other receiver. I didn't get it because I just didn't get what they were doing. This is a team I thought should have focused much more on defense than offense. So your first 3 picks are receiver, tackle, and receiver. I can't get over that. Even the players they got, I really like. Their late picks, though, all 3 of these guys. I'm sorry, they had a 4th, 5th, and a 6th. All 3 of these guys may make the team. They got a pair of flyers in the 7th round. I'm not going to go over that, but the 3 picks they got late in the draft may actually make the team, which is kind of interesting. So again, it's not that I don't like the players that Green Bay got. I just would have gone in a completely different direction. I think they should have gone. And I think they should have gone 3 players in the first 3 rounds on defense and then go, here's what they did in the 4th and 5th round. He went edge, and then he took a defensive tackle in the 6th round. By the way, he could make the team. But I would have done just the opposite, addressed defense early and gone back. Perry says, I think the DT will be solid. I think the 2 OG will be a good starter. Tesla's a project. The other players late round, if they work out. Exactly. The defensive tackle, solid. I didn't have a first round grade on them. I had multiple players, including Donovan E., Mike Green, that I really think Detroit should have taken. With Mike Green, I said this before the draft. I said 12 to 15. I thought I was going way too high, but apparently I went way too low of teams that took him off the draft board. But I really think that I can't – I look at the Detroit Lions as an outsider looking in saying, why didn't they address the edge sooner? But that player from Egypt you got in round 6 could be a good guy. So the Packers don't have a wide receiver number 1. They have a team full of wide receivers number 2s. That's why he went ahead and took a stud early. It makes sense to me. That's the thing. I like their receiving core. They got 2 really good tight ends. Christian Watson had all the tools to be number 1, can't stay healthy. Dobbs at times looked like a number 1. I forget the other guy's name, Dontario Evans. If you think Matthew Golden is going to be a number 1, great. He also has a burst, but why take Savon Williams then? Unless you're – I mean, to me, that didn't make sense. I looked at a team – look at the division that you're in. I mean, you're going against Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're going against Justin Jefferson. You got I'm drawing a blank on the Bears wide receivers, but I mean, you're in division with some really, really, really good players, but I mean, I just think you need some help on the back end, especially when there's talk about Jaire Alexander wanting to trade. I was really leaning towards. I think Green Bay is the team that should pursue Jalen Ramsey. Again, if I was Green Bay, I would have addressed the defense, not the offense. But apparently, they weren't happy with him. You're not alone in thinking this. One thing is, I have not looked at any football social media since Thursday. When I go and I reread some of the draft grades and hear what some other people think, I'm going to go back. These are going to be my final grades, but I'm going to go back and I may do it like a retraction. We'll have to see. I don't trust Holmes. I believe the Lions and draft capital are important to winning. I think so too. A project that had 0 drops in college. I actually did not know that. I really didn't know that. I wasn't that high on him personally, but I mean, he's a big dude, 6'4", 214. I'm on the NFL Network. He's from Michigan, which I didn't know. Hudsonville, I'm not familiar with that. 4'4", 40, 10'9" broad jump, 39.5 vertical. That's a good thing. Here's the thing, though. His final season in college only started 5 games, 28 receptions, 545 yards, 3 touchdowns. The NFL Network gave him a 4 to 5, 4th, 5th round grade. So you get him in the top of the 3rd. I'm not really, yeah. So I need to look at the Packers contracts. That's another thing is I didn't have a chance to go over the contracts and everything, but there's a chance I could. Again, I not to see. At Funk, people are saying he's raw. If he turns into a superstar, the picks are a wash. But if he don't and Jags get 3 solid or better starters, and the deal's bad. The Bills are just fine receivers they got and don't have a true number one. You can say the same thing about the Kansas City Chiefs last year, but a lot of people thought I don't consider Worthy a number one. I always thought Kelsey was number one. Go ahead and name the Arkansas quarterback. Good point, Funk. Good point. They had the kid who I thought would be a better running back. I think he left in the portal, but I mean, still, those are bad numbers. And if he was that good, why did he only start 5 games? I mean, they played 13. So, I mean, he started less than half. That's not screaming stud, you know. Let's go to C minus. Here, I gave Carolina Panthers, the New York Giants, and the Tennessee Titans all C minus grades. I was really upset at pick number 1. Ted McMillan, I was not high on him. I don't understand taking him at 8 when he had some holes on defense. But then they turned around and got Nick Sorton and Princely Umanmielen, 2 really good edge rushers. Both these guys could start. Trevor Etienne in the 4th round's another guy I kind of like. Cam Jackson in the 5th is a really good player. Jimmy Horn Jr. at the bottom of the 6th round may surprise people and make the team. They got some good players here. I don't understand, for a team that really struggled on defense and best players coming back from an injury, why not help them out sooner than later? But Nick Sorton and Princely Umanmielen, I'm butchering that name, are really good players. Trevor Etienne, by the way, Jacksonville does play Carolina this year. The NFL schedule is going to be released in a few weeks, but I do know these 2 players are going to be, it'll be kind of fun. Etienne was banged up last year, but he's going to be exciting to see. They really don't need another running back there, but I'm okay with it. Gets a C minus because this is a defense that really struggles. Now, Jordan Brooks is banged up. I think that they still want to wait for him to get back from injury. So I don't have too much of an issue with it. He'll stay on the team when he gets healthy. They'll kind of rotate him in. Trevor Etienne, I'm kind of thinking it's going to be more of a special teams guy. Thought Carolina would take Jalen Walker, absolutely. After McMillan said he doesn't watch tape, is a huge red flag. I don't get taking Jalen Walker, and then you could have come back in round 2 and 3 and grabbed somebody late. But I do like that they got 2 edge rushers. Luthen Ragsum, the safety out of Ohio State in the 4th round, could be. I didn't, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna look this up real fast here. If I remember correctly, just had a bad 40 time, but a lot of people really liked him. Here's a big dude who third team press All-American, had some good numbers, and I think he has had some bad. Okay, so they're not showing here on the NFL Network what his combine stuff was. I don't know if it was because he was injured or not, but here's a guy who was wildly productive. You could have got him sooner, and it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. I just look in round 1. I would have gone after guys. Jalen Walker is a guy that I really thought that they were going to pick up, and you go after a receiver. I don't get. I actually, to tell you the truth, I like. What's it? Xavier Woods or the guy they got from South Carolina last year better. So I thought the Panthers should have won all defense. They just picked up Hunter Renfrow. I did see they picked up Hunter Renfrow and got 2 young receivers that are decent. Yeah, I would have done the same thing. That's why I kind of gave him a C minus. I like what they did in rounds 2 and 3. I like Trevor Etienne. This Ransom kid may end up playing. Cam Jackson's also a really good player. They got in the 5th round from some school and down south. I don't know what it is. You know, Brad drafted Joseph McNeil in the 3rd and they took Ish for them both because they say are raw, not productive enough in college. Holmes should stop taking those guys. Fans say me no like. There's an old saying, if you listen to the fans, you become one. So, but just because I didn't give them a good grade doesn't mean they didn't have a good draft and they didn't get some good players. I didn't like the moves, and I hate the fact that you didn't get an edge rusher, but we'll have to see how productive their edge rushers can be. Keep in mind, if Marcus Davenport stays healthy, he's going to be a good player. It's just he's never done it. So this is year 6 or 7. New York Giants, I also gave a C- to. They gave up a lot for Jackson Dart. And by drafting Jackson Dart, you save – you do kind of save your job. If he's the day one starter, this is completely different, but he's not going to start right away. You gave up a lot to get him. This draft really all revolves around Jackson Dart. I love what they did in later rounds. Darius Alexander, top of the 3rd. He was the guy I wanted Kansas City to take instead. A lot of mock drafts or big boards had him in the top 50. I saw 1 or 2 mock drafts where he went late in the 1st, get him a top of 3rd like that. Cam Scatabo. A lot of people really love this pick. I thought it was good value in the 4th round. I had him rated lower than a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. I love the guy. It's just that, he's what, 215, 218, something like that. He's running over college linebackers. Can't do that in the pros. He'll be fun. I'll be cheering for him, but I don't know what he does is really going to translate in the NFL, but I'll be pulling for him. Marcus Mabau is in the 5th round's a steal. Really, 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 really like this guy quite a bit. And I would have gone higher with a D tackle instead, but you couldn't do that because you traded up for Jackson Dart. But Marcus Mabau in the 5th round, he might end up being a starter. If you can get starting offensive lineman in the 5th round, great job here by the New York Giants. I mean, giving up a lot for Jackson Dart. I wasn't particularly high on him, but out of the quarterbacks that the Giants kind of want, this is what they did. Keaton's Talk Sports says, do you think Callahan can develop Cam Ward? The Titans have a history of not developing quarterbacks in the right way. Okay, so here's the thing. This is a new regime, so you have to throw that stuff out the window, but you did swing in a whiff on Denver Gators guy out of Kentucky, puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Why I can't think of his name. Doesn't matter. I don't think Cam Ward fits the offense they really want to run. Shadir Sanders fits it. But so I don't think this is going to work. That's why I'm giving them a C-. The guy they got out of UCLA, Umafe Olajibo, I'm not even coming close to pronouncing his name correctly. Solid guy. I don't like it because he's raw. And after winning 2 games last year, having the number 1 pick overall, you don't want a raw guy. Kevin Winston Jr. out of Penn State, if he comes back from injury, probably starting. The way I understand it is he's going to be healthy coming into training camp. Could be a day 1 starter, get in the middle of 3rd round. Really like him. Chimere Dike, it's spelled D-I-K-E. I'm going to assume it's Dike. Guy out of Florida had a really good combine, ran a 4.34. Wasn't really that productive. I mean, 42 receptions, 783 yards. They had some quarterback issues in Florida. They got this young kid who I think is going to be really, 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 really good, but kind of struggled. Gunnar Helm, tight end out of Texas, just had a bad combine, really good player. And they got a wide receiver out of Stanford who had almost 300 yards against Colorado, has a highlight reel against Travis Hunter. So you go against Travis Hunter twice, it'd be nice. Like what they did late in the draft, no, I don't think Ward really is going to work out. So I think Callahan can develop him. That's the plan. I don't think it's going to work out. I think that he's going to get fired, go back to being an offensive coordinator. I think Cam Ward in 5 years from now will be on another team. So that's kind of my thought process there. Davenport would be lucky if he gets through training camp. I don't either. That's why I really wanted Detroit to take an edge rusher before the 5th or 6th round. Titan fans, if Cam Fitz, I just, the offense they want to run is, I'm assuming what he ran in Cincinnati, and it was just quick rhythm throwing, spread it out, just dink and dunk. And that really kind of is what Ward did at Washington, not really what he did at Miami. That's a hard offense to run as a rookie. Now, Joe Burrow had success right away, but take a look. He didn't have success right away his rookie season. Remember, he got hurt and he came back, and then he added his buddy Jamar Chase. They don't have those guys. So it's just one thing about a quarterback. You have to have everything around you that has to work. You have to have everything around you. And that's the one thing that I don't see it. I just don't see everything around him working out. But they did improve the offensive line. They did get a few weapons. I just don't think they've done enough. So Will Levis was the guy's name. He's not right. No, absolutely not. He's a downfield gunslinger. Tell you the truth, Cam Ward reminds me a lot of Will Levis. That's why I really don't like the pick. But I am a little surprised they haven't moved Will Levis, or there's not been more chatter about him. I think a place like LA would be great for him. Before Hutch got hurt, the Lions allowed over 21 time. Those Seahawks at 29 in a blowout. Seattle scored in garbage time. Lions don't need bodies. You can't count on health all the time. And all three of their starting edge rushers, their top three, have all got injury issues. So that's why I don't like it. And I get it. You're a Lions fan. But here's what I look at. You have three teams in the NFC North that got better. Two of them made the playoffs. Then you got one team that got significantly worse. And in the Detroit Lions, they lose multiple coaches, including both coordinators. You lost some players in free agency. And the number one thing is an outsider looking in. You're an insider, so you have more information on the Lions than I do. But as an outsider looking in, I said, man, you got to improve this pass rush. And you just didn't do it. That's why I don't like their draft. Now, Hutchinson comes back. Davenport's healthy. James Houston plays every game, and he's more of a sub-package type of guy. Great, but I'm looking at a team that lost both their offensive and defensive coordinator, a lot of coaches. This is a team in transition that really needed to add to the pass rush, and they just failed to do it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I look at three teams in the NFC North that got significantly better, and one team that got a lot worse, and that's Detroit Lions. But hey, look, you're a 14-win team. How much is a lot worse? I would be take this in point. Kansas City Chiefs won 10 games and won a Super Bowl. Next year they won 15, lost the Super Bowl. I'll take the 10 wins over the 15 any day. So if they won 11 games and win 2 games in the playoffs, I'll take that over 14. So look at it that way. Cam Ward would have been a better fit in the Browns play action bootleg game. I think so too. I think so too, Jeff. I think you nailed it. What they want in Tennessee, I don't think really fits Cam Ward. I think he would have been much better fit in Cleveland. I really do. I think that if I was Tennessee, I would have traded this pick, grabbed Kirk Cousins, and just try to stockpile. Instead, they didn't. Davenport got paid like a towel boy. If he breaks and never plays, doesn't even hit the cap. That's why he's back. Here's the thing: if Davenport ever stays healthy, then you got a stud. But he's never been able to do it. If we get Smith back, that helps. We need Smith back bad. There's no way they have 23 guys on IR. James Houston, it's gone. Yeah, I'm just going to keep harping. I really wanted them to attack an edge rush before round 6 or whenever it was. All right, so we're going to move on to my C grades. I got 6 teams here. Chicago, Seattle, Houston, Jacksonville, Minnesota, and San Francisco. With Chicago, this is a tough grade because you have a new head coach who's an offensive-minded coach, and your first 3 picks are on offense. I don't hate that at all. I mean, a lot of people thought that Colston Loveland was the better tight end. If you want to use them like Travis Kelce, great. I worry about using him at 10. You already have Cole Kmet, who's a really good tight end. I really thought that Cole Kmet was a guy you could kind of build around, but you want to use some 2 tight end sets, great. Colston Loveland's going to be more of a receiver, great. Luther Burden, I had a first-round grade on him. I really liked him. I can argue that he's better than Emeka Ibuka, who went in the first round, but he's a really good player. Ozzie Trapalio, the other second round, or actually they have 3 second-round picks. He's I'm a little confused on this because he's a starting caliber right tackle. Well, you already have a right tackle. So what's the point? I'm really lost here because are you moving Anthony Wright over to the left side? Is Trapilio going to compete for the left side? Is he a starting swing? I really wanted to get some more information because that pick really confused me. Shamor Turner in the second round, not bad. They got I forget his first name, but Gervon, the defensive tackle out of Florida's guy I really, really, really like. They also had another guy from the Falcons they picked up too. So he's going to be rotational depth. I'm sorry. I can't believe I can't remember the Falcons defensive tackle's name. That's a damn good player too. They picked up a guy late in the fourth, former 5-star player, size speed combo off the chart, but the production really wasn't there. They got some guys late that I kind of like. It just the reason why I gave them a C is I'm a little confused on what they were doing. So Loveland's going to be more like a wide receiver. Great. Well, then why draft another wide receiver? Trapilio, Trapalo. I thought he was more of a third-round player, but I just don't get it. Like, what are you doing? You already got 2. Like, is he competing somewhere? I really have to be. I'm really confused on what the Bears were doing and what the plan is. That's why I'm a little confused on what they did. But they did add some athleticism, some speed. Perry says we are lucky. Next man up. We may not get same lucky by the end of last season. You were. I thought for like 2.5 months you had the best team in football. Then injuries just beat you up. I mean, it wasn't that you guys really had a great team last year. It was just injuries. The Bears that really addressed the pass rush. I don't know why they would offense, but their first 3 picks. Yeah, I probably would have given them talent wise a much higher grade. When I first broke out my chart or my grade, I actually gave them a C plus, and I was toying around with a B minus because I like Luther Burden a lot, and if you're planning on using Loveland as a big receiver, I just don't understand why you draft both of them when your skill position talent was already good. I if anything, I would have gone after another running back. That's what I would have done. I mean, it's a deep running back draft, and you drafted one in the 7th round. By the way, this kid out of Rutgers, not a bad player. He might make the team. And I say might because he was first team all Big Ten, 1,279 yards rushing. He's short, not small, 5'8", 211. But he ran a 4.6, had a good 10 time, not overly explosive, but it was just really hard for me to get. I just don't understand what the Bears were doing. Ben Johnson's going to try to replicate there. He has no loyalty to players that are already there. I get that part, but I mean, you used a high draft pick on I can't believe I'm forgetting so many names. I mean, you guys have been with me for a while. Know I'm bad on names, so this is absurdly bad. But Roma Duze, you have DJ Moore. I mean, those are 2 really, really good receivers. You already have a really good tight end in Cole Kmet. You gave him some big money. I know you drafted Rashawn Johnson. I was just really expecting a running back, and I have no idea what the plan is with the tackle. Is he a swing tackle? I don't get it. I just can't wrap my brain around it. You also had a trade. You traded up. Where was it here? You traded up with Buffalo, or I'm sorry, Buffalo traded up. So you used pick, was it 56 and 62, which I kind of like that. I mean, like I said, the Tropolo pick, I can't wrap my head around it, and I don't know what they're really thinking. Dan, forgetting names, never mind, I'll just stream that. Yeah. Let's go to Seattle here. Now, this is a little fun fact. Geno Smith was basically traded for Jalen Milroe, which I kind of got a pick out of. Nick Amorori out of South Carolina, he got him at the top of the second. I really thought you could take him at 18. That would have been excellent value. I actually would have switched Amorori and Zabel, but their thought process was that you couldn't get Zabel late enough. Elijah Aroro, about mid-second, kind of a reach, but I don't hate it. Super athletic. Could be a star, but he's raw as hell. Jalen Milroe, hey, look, you brought in Sam Darnold. You're from the same team that had Lamar Jackson. I don't hate that at all. Riley Mills, top of the fifth, solid pick. They got some picks late that I really, really liked. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail. 7th round running back Damian Martinez, Ricky White, their final pick, 238, special teams guy out of UNLV. He will probably make the team just on special teams. Also really like what you did here. You have a team, trying to rebuild your team, 11 draft picks. I really like that. Now keep in mind, 3 in the 7th, 1 in the 6th, 3 in the 5th. All of these guys aren't going to make the team, but I'm looking at these draft picks. Riley Mills in the 5th round is probably going to make the team. Damian Martinez in the 7th round didn't have a good combine, really productive at Miami. Ricky White, the 3rd. A lot of people liked him because he was special teams player of the year in the Mountain West Conference. And these are some good picks that you got late. Yeah, Red, what's next? Is he going to go on some tangent, a guy like Bruce Smith or something? So I originally I'm looking at my original notes here. I originally had Seattle with a C+, thought about maybe giving them a B-, but again, I just kind of bumped everybody down. I really like what they did. It's just, and they got some good value here. Amorori may have reached for Aroro, Jalen Milroe. I would like if you went to a team with a better offensive staff. Remember, they got brand new offensive staff this year, so I have to see what is going on here. But I can argue that this should be much higher. Next, Houston Texans. Keep in mind they have an extra 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round pick next year because they won the South the last 2 years. Maybe they're just trying to build for the future. Jalen Higgins at the top of the 2nd, size-speed combo, was productive. They also got his running mate, Jalen Noel, out of Iowa State. Not really sure what their love affair is with Iowa State, but they got a couple of receivers from there. The tackle out of Minnesota, Aratana Ursary, big, massive guy. I thought he'd be better suited as much better suited as a guard. There's a chance he's going to be the day one starter at left tackle. If that's the case, this draft grade skyrockets. I just talked about Luther Burden III. I would have liked that a lot better than Higgins. It's kind of why I gave them a C. I really want to give Houston an incomplete because what are they going to do next year with their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th extra picks? Kind of not sure what they're doing. Some of these late round players, though, are not bad. Graham Mertz, Florida quarterback, may make the team as a backup. Jalen Reed's a guy who got in the 6th round. Another guy like Woody Marks could end up being a backup running back. He'll probably make the team. Got him in the 4th. Houston did a lot of things I really like. I just had other players rated higher at receiver. Ursray, if he's day one starter at left tackle, this is going to be a fantastic draft. So we'll have to wait and see what Houston does. This grade could be much, much higher. Jacksonville, I gave them a C. Traded an arm and a leg to get Travis Hunter. If he's a superstar Heisman Trophy winning type of player, then great. This draft's all well worth it, but you don't have the first round pick next year and you're trying to build your team. You better hope he's everything you want. Their next pick, Caleb Branshaw, a guy I liked. I mean, third round when you had some other things I would have done different. Wyatt Millam, the other third round pick, they picked 88th and 89th. I liked a lot better. He could end up being a starter. He played tackle at West Virginia. He'll kick inside. Really good player, though. I would not be at all surprised he ends up being a starter. Brayshaw Tootin ran to 4.32. You get him in the top of the fourth round. Really liked it. You also get Jack Kaiser. Didn't test particularly well, but really good player out of Notre Dame. You also got some late players. I'm not going to go into detail, but I kind of like what Jacksonville did. Maybe the Bears want Loveland to develop under Cole and will trade Cole down the road, just have a 2 tight end set. I think it's much more likely that Cole will be traded probably next year. It could be a situation where you're trying to manage the cap. Maybe they want to do 2 tight end sets. It's hard to say. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have an issue with Loveland going in the top 10. I just don't understand why you do Loveland and then go back to another receiver, because both these guys, it's highly unlikely you're just going to go with Loveland and Burton at the same time when you already got Kmet, Aduze, and Smith. So I'm just really confused. But the talent's there. I'm just a little confused what they're doing. With Jacksonville, it's all about does Travis Hunter pan out. If he ends up being one of the greatest players in Jacksonville history, it's going to be a great draft for him. Minnesota, I really wanted to give a much higher grade to. They acquired Sam Howard from Seattle. They got him for a 5th. That's a steal. They only had 4 picks. They parlayed that into 5 plus a backup quarterback. So I really, really love what Minnesota did here. OT they took could be an OG or developed because of the cap. I'm not really sure what they're doing because they got a couple guards and a center in free agency. Supposedly they really like their tackle, so I don't get it. Andre, man, thanks for the love, man. I've been working 2 jobs. I wish I could do YouTube full time. It's just not there yet, but I've been knocking out a lot of debt. So I won't be as much as I was last year, or at least the first part of last year, this year, but I'm hoping to get to a point where I can just do YouTube full time. We'll have to wait and see. Probably not 2025, but I'm hoping 2026. With Minnesota, the backup quarterback, I really like Donovan Jackson. I don't have too much of a problem with it at 24, slight reach, but I've mocked him higher. Tay Felton out of Maryland is decent. I don't get why you would draft a receiver when you only have a few picks. I hope we do, man. Hopefully we will. I would have done some things different, but I like the fact that you got a backup quarterback with some starting experience and with a lot of talent. I really like the kid quite a bit. I liked him coming out of North Carolina. I don't know why he fell in the 5th round. I understand why Washington gave up on him, but it's a great backup with starting experience. Donovan Jackson probably going to be day 1 starter. I'm a little confused on what they did with the other picks, but overall, I could argue this is one of them where I could maybe give you a C-, but Howell is back in case JJ's bad. I think Kevin O'Connell could. I do too. I mean, listen, Sam Howell can play, folks. Like, this is Sam Howell. If JJ goes down, Howell would fit like a hand in the glove and be really, really good in this offense. So I like that, and you get him for a 5th round pick, which is not bad. I would have done some things a little different, but it's hard to fault a team that had 4 picks going into this draft. So Sins of the Father could come into play. Hey, look, Donovan Jackson, day one starter. You got backup quarterback. You also got some guys with talent here in this draft. Tay Felton is a super talented guy. You got him in the bottom of the third. Just that of all the things that I'm looking at, I just don't think wide receiver was the one thing that Minnesota should have worried about. I would have gone in a couple different directions. Finally, San Francisco, and I really struggled with giving San Francisco a grade because I originally was going C+, and I was thinking maybe I should give them a higher grade because Mikael Williams is a guy I absolutely love, and I love as a fit for this defense. Some of their late round picks, I also really, really like CJ West out of Indiana. Got him in the 4th round. You could have got him in the late second, early third. I wouldn't have bulked. Upton Stout, kind of a reach, but he fits what they want to do. Nick Martin's interesting. They also got some guys late that I really, really like. I don't want to go in their picks. They got 3 7th, 2 5th, and I already talked about CJ West, but they got 2 4th round picks. The one thing that I want to talk about, and the reason why they gave him a C is because Alfred Collins, their 2nd round pick out of Texas, I had a much lower grade. I had 3rd, maybe 4th. Real big dude, doesn't really fit that wide 9 defense. So what they did with McKay Williams and Alfred Collins is they just said, hey, we're going to get big bodies. We're going to make sure we're stacked against the run. Great. Is Nick Bosa going to have 20 sacks? I mean, and Mikael Williams is a guy that can rack up a lot of scouts. So, dude, Sam Howell's a young dude. This is a great pickup from Minnesota. With San Francisco going big, it's a little different than what they've done in the past. Nick Martin, Upton Stout doesn't fit what they want to do because he's more of a smaller guy. I kind of like. I kind of like Nick Martin, smaller, undersized, fast dude. Normally they want, normally they want guys that can do all that stuff. They usually want bigger. 3rd round's kind of a reach. Alfred Collins, I don't really get because he's not going to be a guy. You get him in the 2nd round. He's not really a 3-down player. That's why I'm a little confused on what San Francisco is doing. I know you're bringing Saleh back. You gave him some weapons, but they're all weapons he normally doesn't have. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I'm a little confused because a lot of stuff doesn't really fit, but I do like the fact that you got a lot of players here. 2 3rds, 2 4ths, 2 5ths, and 3 7ths. A lot of these guys are going to make the team. So I can make an argument. I can make an argument that this should be much higher. I gave them a lower grade because I'm not really sure what they're doing. I thought when Carolina passed, I thought Walker would fit like a hand in the glove. So I didn't really get that. So we'll go on to C+ here. I gave the Indianapolis Colts, New Orleans Saints, the Jets, the Bucks, the Commanders, and the Bengals all C+ here. It's funny, the manager at my apartment complex is a Colts fan, and he's been saying Tyler Warren for like the first. I visited here 3 times before I moved here. I really was kind of picky. Reason why I visited here 3 times between this place and another place, I think I made the right decision. But he's a Colts fan. He's been saying Tyler Warren since day one. JT Tuimalu, I actually like Sawyer better, but I don't have too much problem with it. 13th pick in the 2nd round, maybe okay. Justin Wiley, Jalen Travis, decent. DJ Giddens in the middle of the 5th is a great pick. Riley Leonard, 6th-round quarterback out of Notre Dame, another guy I really liked. If Tyler Warren becomes the next Gronk, I can make this a B draft. JT Tuimalu, if he ends up starting, great. Here's the thing. You've been investing a lot of draft capital on the defensive line, but you lost 2 offensive line starters. You didn't really address that to the bottom of the 4th round. Tyler Warren becomes the next Gronk, and DJ Giddens. This is the guy who's going to make this team. If you haven't watched him, he's a really good player. I would have given this a much higher grade if you addressed the offensive line, but C plus seems fair after the first pick. Was just nothing really special. Exactly. It's all going to revolve: is Tyler Warren a Pro Bowl caliber tight end or not? I really, really wanted them to address offensive line, but I like I said, I originally had a B minus. Felt good about that, but we'll have to see what he does. But some of these late round picks, Riley Leonard and DJ Giddens, are really good players. I think they're going to make the team. So I low key impressed with what they did, but I would have liked to see some more on the offensive line. Next up is the Saints, who did address the offensive line. Kelvin Banks Jr., I think, will be a day one starter somewhere on this offensive line. The surprise pick of the draft was Tyler Shock. I'm still not sure how to pronounce his name at 40. If you just went by film and ability, he might be the best quarterback in the draft. Louisville runs kind of a pro-style offense. I really like what they're doing there in Louisville. Louisville's a team I'm like kind of low-key excited about. I like what they're doing there. I just, I also like that you addressed the offensive line. Brockton, not a bad player. Sanker, I was very confused about. They had 2 picks in the third and 2 in the fourth. So Brockton and Sanker, solid players, not really positions I thought they needed. I thought they needed somebody to get after the passer. I think it sounds, it's like Tyler Shock, something like that. I was a little confused why you went defensive tackle and safety when I thought you needed edge rusher. Riley Leonard's going to make this team. I really believe that. That's why I really like that draft pick. Danny Stutzman out of Oklahoma, getting him in the 4th round. I actually liked him more than Sanker and Brockton. He'll make this team. Quincy Riley at bottom of the 4th here is a guy who could make the team. Devin Neal, a lot of you probably don't know who he is. Kansas running back. Didn't have the best combine. Really, really productive. You look at his highlight reel, he looks like maybe a 2nd-round pick. He was 5'11", 213. He ran a 4.58, which was disappointing. Played like a guy who runs a 4.38. Really, really, really talented dude. Shouldn't. It was because it was a deep running back draft. He went in the 6th round. I would not be at all surprised he makes this team. Here's the deal. Going defensive tackle and safety, I don't hate the players question it. Shock, whatever it is, if he starts day one, this is a much better draft. Kelvin Banks Jr., we'll have to see how good he is. If he becomes Pro Bowl caliber tackle, this could potentially be like an A draft for the Saints. Next is the New York Jets and their new regime. I gave them a C+. Really, really like what they did early. Armand Membu, I've been mocking him to the Jets for a while. Put him on the right side, plug and play, day one starter. Mason Taylor, probably a day one starter. God damn it. I got somebody on Twitch doing some crap. I don't know how to get that. It's one thing about Twitch is that they have some goofy stuff. So, and you know what the thing is? I can't even delete this off of crap. Anyway, it's some stuff I have to work on. I have to work on trying to. All right. So anyway, I got some spam in here. I don't know how to fix it. Damn it. Mason Taylor, day one starter. Azeez Thomas just had a bad 40 time. Really, really good player. Probably could have gone in the first with a better 40 time. That's okay. He goes to the right system. I think Aaron Glenn's going to figure out how to use him. Potentially 3 starters. Some players they got late I really liked. I also thought it was kind of fun that they got players from Georgia, Alabama, and Miami. They got players from winning schools in the later rounds, guys that are used to winning, guys that are going to compete. And I really like what the Jets are doing. I was low-key pleasantly surprised on what they're doing. Mason Taylor, Isaiah Thomas, there's a chance that these first three guys are going to be 3 day one starters. Jets, potentially this could be a really good draft for the Jets. Also like what they did late in the draft. It's just that C plus. I originally had him as a B minus. It was just one of those I just bumped down. I could easily give the Jets a better grade, but they didn't really. Taylor, I kind of pictured him high second, so that's kind of my thought process here. They didn't really hit any home runs, but I really like everything that they did. I could easily give this a better grade. Tampa Bay went wide receiver in round 1, and I didn't have too much of a problem with that. Then I love the corners they got in the second and third round. I thought they really needed corners. Then they went in the fourth and the fifth round, got some edge rushers. Both these, David Walker, a lot of you may not know who he is. He's out of Central Arkansas. If he played in the SEC, probably goes in the second round. I don't like him for all teams. I do like him for Tampa Bay. Tez Johnson, the final pick, was Oregon's leading receiver. The problem is he weighs like 155, and he ran like a 4.48 or a 4.49. People are thinking he'd run into 4.2s. Wildly productive. He get him in 7th round. If he makes the team, you could easily call this a B draft. Benjamin Morris, if healthy, would have been a first-round pick. I think Morrison and Parrish could both potentially start in the secondary. And Ibuka, he'll get some time. Dan, let's go. My Browns got Deontay Johnson. I did not know that. That's actually a great pickup for Cleveland if you got him cheap. Hopefully they didn't give him any money. But that's a really good pickup. I really like what Tampa Bay did in the draft. I didn't see anything exceptional. David Walker is a guy that could really make or break this draft. I know it sounds a little crazy, but here's a guy that could potentially be a starter, get him in the 4th round. Small school player, don't like him for everybody, but I do like him for Tampa Bay. Washington. So here's the real. You traded for Tunsil, gave up a lot for Tunsil, okay? I get that. I also like Connerly, but I didn't get both. It kind of seems like it should have been one or the other, not both. I do like Trey Amos. He'll be a day one starter again, bottom of the 2nd round. You could have taken Trey Amos at 29 instead of 61, and you would have been fine. Jalen Lane out of Virginia Tech, speedster. Here's the drill. Is Laramie Tunsil a top 10 tackle? If he is, this is a successful draft. Does Connerly become a starter? If both these things are true, this is much better than a C plus draft. And Trey Amos, he's going to be a day one starter. So I like what they did. It all comes around with Tunsil because you gave up a lot for him. I could have dinged or gone to a higher grade here with Washington, but I decided to just say, hey, look, let's just give him a C plus because I do like getting Tunsil. I was a little confused about Connerly, but both these guys are day one starters. I could easily make this a B grade. Cincinnati, this is interesting because Seattle, I really like what they did here. Shamar Stewart, I'm not sold on. Greek God, not very productive. People are like, well, he got a lot of pressure. It's great. I don't see how you get a guy this athletically gifted who ends his senior year as a first-round draft pick with 1.5 sacks. Here's a guy, if he got 10 sacks, he would have been number 1 pick in the draft maybe, or he would have been top 5. We'll see what happens in Cincinnati. Demarius Knight Jr., kind of a reach, but I bet you he starts day one. Dylan Fairchild in the 3rd round, he'll start day one. Barrett Carter could also be a starter. You get him in the 4th round. That's why I really like him. Taj Brooks in the 6th round, liked him a little more than a lot of people. They only had 6 picks in this draft, and Cincinnati, I had to double check here. No trades. They got 6 players that could make the team. This is a low-key, really good draft. Does Shamar Stewart become a Pro Bowl defensive end? I'm not sold on it. If I really thought he was going to be a Pro Bowl defensive end, if I was one of these guys that thought that he was going to be a top 10 player, I'd probably give this a B. I wasn't sold on him. That's why I give him a C+. I think the OT they took for the future when the cap will cost them players, I think okay, hold on here. I think OT they took is for the future when the cap will cost them players. They went all in this season to win the Super. Are you talking about Washington? Yeah, I could see that with Washington. Keep in mind, you still got. If you're talking about Washington, this makes a lot of sense. But you got to have Connerly play day one. Well, I think I would have gone. I might have done some things differently, but yeah, I agree completely. Funk. He was a guy I really, really liked. And Cincinnati grabs him. I mean, to be honest with you, I could have taken. I might have liked Barrett Carter. I didn't rate them all, but I might like Barrett Carter better. I like Demetrius Knight. Both these guys are going to make. Here's the thing: they got 6 players. I think all 6 of these guys make the team. If Shamir Stewart ends up being that guy, then this draft is easily going to be better. I really like this draft. It's just that. I didn't see any great value here. I didn't see like Shamir Stewart. I wasn't one of these guys thinking he was top 10. A lot of people thought that he could have been a top 10, but I really, really like Barrett Carter quite a bit. 4th round could start. Yeah. Yeah. And then keep in mind, you have to prepare because if Jaden Daniels keeps playing the way he is, you're going to have to give him a Brinks truck full of money. And I mean, it's going to be crazy. But, I mean, I don't know if they're all in to win a Super Bowl or not, but I like what they've done. It looks like on paper they're better, but I would have done some things on defense personally. I would have done some things. Let's take a look again here because here's the thing. They only have 5 draft picks, and they used 3 of them on offense, and I get that. But Connerly and then Tunsil, so you get your tackles. Amos, starter. Jalen Lane's kick returner, developmental receiver type. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. But, yeah, Funk, we completely agree on Barrett Carter. Really liked him a lot. B-. There's 5 teams I gave a B- to. I really wanted to give a lot of these teams better grades than B-. Tunsil OT there long-term. Washington only got 4 more years to win. Their window will close when they pay McDaniel. I get that, but here's the deal though. If he's going to be your guy, I actually tell you the truth. I actually thought they filled the offensive line position there, and I would have gone defense. But if Connerly ends up being a starter on the right side, your offensive line's much improved. Then this could be a really good move. But yeah, 4 years, that's a long time, man. They're in a tough division though. The only negative about this draft is I really like what the Cowboys did. The only negative about the Cowboys is that I would have gone receiver. A lot of people balked at Tyler Booker going 12. Let me see here. What was my original grade? I wrote, it was kind of funny. It's the only player I wrote 3-letter grades because I couldn't really decide if it was a B, B- or C+. You may have been able to trade down and get him, but here's the deal. He's going to be a day one starter, and he's probably going to be a really good player for the next 10 to 12 years. Donovan Izurico, I felt like they could have too. That's why I was all over the board on that draft grade. Donovan Izurico, I thought could have gone in the 1st round. I was mocking him to Detroit for the longest time. You get him in the 2nd round. Thought that was great. Shavon Revel. This is a guy that could have gone top 15 if he was healthy. Got injured early. Still no word on when he'll be able to come back. For Dallas, I like it because they have a lot of corners there with some injury issues. They're not really thinking. Revel's a guy that if he plays next year and he ends up being a Pro Bowl corner, this grade's much better. Jadon Blue in the 5th round's great. Shamar James. A lot of these late round picks I really liked. People always kind of bash Dallas, but They got 2 fifth, a sixth, and 3 seventh, and they got some really good players here. Phil Maffa out of Clemson, the 7th round. He may surprise and make the team on special. He may make the team on special teams. Shamar James out of Florida is a good player, and Jaden Blue will make the team. Siobhan Rivell, if he ends up starting this year or next year as a 3rd round pick, there's a chance he could be a Pro Bowl corner. He's really, really good. There's a chance you got 3 potential Pro Bowlers out of this draft, and some of these late round picks are going to make the team and contribute. This is a low key, really good draft for the Dallas Cowboys for as much flack as they get. I really like what they did. Next up is the Chargers. I hate to give a rival so much credit. This was a team that I really wanted to give them a B. I just kind of bumped them down, but I'm looking at their draft, and I really like what they did late in the draft. Oronde Gadsden II, I remember his dad played for Miami. He's a bulked up receiver, switched over to tight end. I low key really like that. I'm gonna go in order, but this was a great pick. Late in the draft, Oronde Gadsden, I liked him in the 5th. He'll make the team. Here's the deal, though. In the 3rd and 4th round, Jamie Caldwell, a big defensive tackle out of Oregon, and Kyle Kennard, really, really super productive guy at South Carolina. These are some really low-key, really good picks. That I like what they did on defense. And then Trey Harris, a size speed guy out of Ole Miss. I thought it was a good value. Omarion Hampton's what they want to do. The only reason I gave them a B- and a much higher grade is that you signed Najee Harris. I would have thought that you would go Trayvon Henderson, go with the speed guy, not a guy who's exactly like Najee Harris, except maybe a little faster. I low-key really, really like what the Chargers did. I gave them a B. I just bumped them down because I tell you the truth, I'm going to have to rethink this and give them a higher grade because I originally had them as a B, just bumped them down. But I like what they did. Omarion Hampton at 22, even though it's good value, if they went with Trayvon Henderson instead, I might have given this a B or B+. So I think teams overthinking on Booker, bad versus good. I personally just if you go on the tape and ignore the scores, this was a great pickup. It just a lot of people, what the hell? Sorry. I don't know what I did. I messed up here. Sorry, guys. I don't think it affected you guys at all, so it's okay. Let's go with the Rams here, another team that I thought really drafted well. I wanted to give them a much higher grade just because you got 2 first-round picks next year. The reason why I didn't is because I looked at the Rams as a team that they really could have attacked this draft in a way to get over the hump, but they're kind of like, it looks like they're kind of sitting pat and waiting. I just didn't like that, but I like what they did. Terrence Ferguson, really good player. He may be a day one starter. Josiah Stewart didn't test well, super productive. I don't like him for everybody. Really like him for the Rams. Jaquez Hunter, I'm giving them kind of a pass here because they were kind of focusing on him before the draft. They got a guy that they really liked. He'll make the team, and then these late round picks are all guys that could make the team. Ty Hamilton out of Ohio State might be very productive. Again, you get 2 first round picks next year, which I really like. They got some really good value here from Atlanta getting their first round pick. It's something I really, really liked. What they do with those 2 first round picks is going to be very, very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Keaton, what are your overall feeling on the Pats draft? By the way, they got higher than a B-. Let's go to a team that originally gave them a much higher grade. I almost feel like I'm hating on them a little bit. The only reason they've given them a B- is because they got 4 6th-round picks, 3 5th-round picks, and a 4th. And let me ask you this here. I mean, they've made some great selections, but 7 picks in rounds 5 and 6. Did you really need all those picks, or could you have parlayed that for fewer people. I mean, this is a team that, okay, so this is a team won Super Bowl. This team preloaded roster. Did they really need 10 players? That's the thing, because I like these players. So Kyle McCord, top of the 6th round, is a good pick. Drew Kendall, the center out of Boston College, late in the 5th. This guy has the potential to be a starter someday, not for Philly, but it'll be a good backup. Andrew Maboka, bottom of the 2nd round, really good player. Jihad Campbell, late in the 1st, really good player. The only thing about him is I would have done different. I would have traded a lot of these 6th and 5th round picks, tried to pick, 5 to 7 players. Instead, they got 10 players. I mean, how many of these? A lot of these guys are going to make NFL rosters on other teams. That's why that's the only negative I have. But a lot of these players have higher grades than you would have thought. If McCord makes this team in the 6th round, this could be this could be a really good draft. I just don't see a lot of these players making the team. Denver's a team I really want to give a much higher grade to. You get a punter from Florida. I know Denver Gator hated that. Late, it'll probably be a punter. Savion Jones in the bottom of the 3rd is a really, really, really good player. Getting him in the bottom 3rd, I really liked him. I didn't like him for all teams, but I do like him for Denver. RJ Harvey, I had some other running backs that I may have given a higher grade to, but I like him because they're not asking him to be an every down back. J.D. Barron. Wow, that's one of the best 1st round picks here. I think I gave him, what did I give that draft pick on itself? I gave that a B plus A minus type of grade. I could easily bump this up higher. Pat Bryant in the 3rd round didn't make a lot of sense to me. I know he's a big dude. I had a much lower grade on him. You could have gone after some other players. To tell you the truth, if you wanted a receiver, you could have done some things a little different here. Really solid draft. Really, really solid draft. Jihad Campbell, yeah, he'll do some special teams. I think he'll do some spot duty, but he's a guy. Philly likes drafting for next year, and he'll take over for the Georgia linebacker's name I'm forgetting. But, yeah. Keaton gave his team an A minus. I get that. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I gave him a B minus, but this could easily be a B plus draft. Barron best corner, RJ almost same production as Ashton the last 2 years. Q was quoted by Saban as being one of the best special teams players he's ever coached. Yeah, I can make a strong case that this draft deserved a much better grade. RJ Harvey's not going to be an every down runner in the pros. He's a much smaller dude. But I like him because he's a guy that's going to be productive, not an every down back. I didn't hate bottom of the 2nd, kind of a reach though. Barron is phenomenal at 20. Pat Bryant though was a big reach that I don't get. That's really the only negative on this draft. But overall, this was a very, very, very good draft. His shoulder issues are serious. I wasn't aware of that, but I remember I'm going to look this up. I can't believe I'm forgetting this name, but because I loved him coming out of Georgia. I loved him coming up. Okay, it helps if I get the right team. But I love the kid coming out of Georgia. Now I got an ad. Nakobe Dean. He'll sit by Nakobe Dean this year. He'll be a starter next year with Zach Bond. And I think he may do some spot duties as an edge rusher. Yeah, Nakobe Dean, yeah. He's Dean's replacement. And that's what Philly does. They draft guys for this year, they draft guys next year. So let's go to my Bs. I didn't know that. I didn't have him ranked that high. And St. Brown's a 4th round pick. No. Yeah, I don't know. As I remember, those shoulder issues are bad, and he just has not been able to stay healthy. So that's why I kind of like the pick. I could easily give them a much better grade. Atlanta gave up an arm and a leg here. And that's the only reason why I gave him a B, because I absolutely love what they did in the draft here. Jalen Walker at 15 was an absolute steal. I could easily give the Falcons a B plus or an A minus. Wouldn't even bulk. It was a good pick. I had him second round grade, and I thought it was a good pick. I also said his ceiling was going to be a wide receiver number 2. Proved me wrong. And I said that so many times. Jalen Walker, getting him at 15, trading back in the first round. I love James Pierce. And I love that you had some problems on edge. You addressed those problems. You gave up a lot, including next year's number 1, in order to get him, which, hey, look, if they win a Super Bowl, nobody's going to care. Xavier Watts, bottom of the third round, could be a starter. Billy Bowman's a really good player, too. One of these guys, there's a chance that you may get 2 starters in the back end, 2 edge rushers. You didn't need too much on offense. You're a defensive-minded coach. You added to that. There's so much to like. The only reason they are as low as a B, the only reason they're as low as a B is because they give up next year's number 1, and that's just a lot. And that, but I mean, there's a good chance that they could be a third. This is a team. Watch out for the Falcons. Keep in mind, I'm only saying watch out for the Falcons because I think Penix next year is just going to be an absolute stud. Next up is Buffalo, and even though I didn't see a lot of things while going through the NFL Network, somebody mentioned that Buffalo didn't have a good draft, and I disagree completely. Maxwell Harrison makes a ton of sense. And normally what you do is you draft players to win in your division. What they did is they drafted to beat the Chiefs, because last year when I forget the corner who went down, they put Khalil Elam in the game. The Chiefs just said, where's Khalil Elam? We're going to throw the ball to where he is. And he couldn't do anything about it. He was not really a man guy. They were playing some man, which is a little weird. Maxwell Harrison's a man corner. Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you, Perry. The thing is with this type of move is that when you make a move like this, if it works, it's going to be awesome. If he's not good, then you have to wait and see. Steelers fans, yeah. No, I get it. We all know what you meant. But yeah, they are. I'm going to go over them here later, but I really like their draft. I also really like Buffalo's draft too. Maxwell Harrison, you didn't draft him to beat teams in division. You drafted him to beat players on the Kansas City Chiefs. Fastest corner in the draft. He can blitz. He's different than what you normally have, but you need somebody who can cover against Kansas City Chiefs. This is your guy. You drafted this guy specifically to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That's why I love it. Landon Jackson is one of my – okay, so here's the deal. Landon Jackson, Deontay Walker are 2 of my major man crushes. Deontay Walker, look, you're going against a couple teams that want to run the ball in the Jets, in Miami, and now New England's going to be run first team. Draft this massive defensive tackle. Landon Jackson's the guy. I love this game. Went to the Senior Bowl. Didn't do great in the Senior Bowl. And then you goes to combine, balls out. I don't know how he fell in the third round. This is a really, really good player. TJ Sanders, kind of a reach, I thought, in the second round. That's why I gave the Bills a B, because I love Landon Jackson, love Deontay Walker, and I love Maxwell Harrison. Sanders kind of reach. I could easily give this a B plus. A lot of people didn't like this draft from what I'm gathering. This is a really good draft. By the way, Gordon Hancock, bottom of the 5th round. He went to some school in the Midwest. Keaton doesn't know who he is. A lot of scouts really didn't particularly like him, but I mean, here's a guy that played a lot at Ohio State, and he was productive. So I don't get it. He didn't have a great combine. May surprise and make this team, even though he's a late round pick. But man, Deontay Walker, Landon Jackson, 2 of my draft crushes. Big guys are going to have an impact. Maxwell Harrison helped beat Kansas City. If they do beat the Chiefs, it'll be because of this draft. The Steelers took the kid out of Ohio State, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Steeler. I really do. I 100% believe Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Steeler. But speaking of the team that a lot of people thought Shedeur Sanders is going to, the Las Vegas Raiders, I gave them a B, and I originally had them as a B plus, or I had them between a B and a B plus, and I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. By the way, it's loss, not low, so I just realized that spelling error there. Damn it. This is a draft Pete Carroll had his hands in, and I also really like they had some. This is a really, really good draft because they got some players like JJ Poogs. If you're not aware, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss, had 8 rushing touchdowns, I believe. This guy can play, and get him in the 6th round. Dante Thornton, a size speed guy, got him in top of the 4th. Al Davis would be proud. Darian Porter, another size speed guy. Got him in the top of the 3rd. I wouldn't like this for all teams, but I do like it for the Raiders. Big and fast, and that's something that they like. And, they've always liked bigger receivers, or at least Pete Carroll has always liked bigger receivers. He's got a couple 4-3 guys. Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant, 2 really good additions to the offensive line. Charles Grant was taken after Rogers. Is set 98, 99. Charles Grant may start day 1 at right tackle. I think he's a really good player. Jack Beck, a bigger receiver. I like that. And Ashton Gentry, I think, could be rookie of the year. So I really love what Pete Carroll did. I also love the fact that you drafted 11 players when you're trying to rebuild your team. I think the Raiders had a really, really, really good draft. Absolutely. If these guys pan out, Darren Porter, size speed freak, just didn't play a lot. But 6'3", 195, ran a 4.3. He played. What was it? What 7 starts his whole time? But he did blocked a couple kicks. I didn't like him for all teams, but I get what Pete Carroll's doing. He wants big physical corners that have good speed, and that's what he got here. I mean, I see what he's doing, and I thought it was just absolutely genius. All these draft picks going to pan out? Probably not. As a Chiefs fan, hopefully not, but I love what he did. I'm giving this a B. I could easily go much higher. I could actually give this an A minus. And Ashton Gentry, if he ends up being the guy that everybody thinks he could be, then this could be an A plus draft. With the Steelers, I loved what the Steelers did. They picked up Will Howard out of Ohio State, top of the 6th round. That was just genius. They passed on Shedeur Sanders. Just Steelers want to kind of stay away from the drama, but Will Howard, you could have taken him in the 3rd or 4th round, and you would have been okay with that. Derek Harmon was one of my big draft crushes, and then Caleb Johnson, another one of my big draft crushes. He's day 1 starter. To get him in the middle of 3rd round, that's a genius. Jack Sawyer, I thought solidified himself as a 1st rounder. You get him 21st pick in 4th round. He's making this team. Yaya Black, massive defensive tackle, Iowa. He's making this team. This is a really low-key, great draft. Pete Carroll needs to find his Cam at safety. Yeah, that's one thing. I think they did get a safety. They didn't get their Cam, but they love what they did in the secondary, though. They did. God, the Raiders did some really good things. Darian Porter? No, they didn't get a safety. They didn't get a safety, and they lost. What's his name? God, I forgot where he went. God, he was a really good player. I'm drawing all sorts of name blanks here. This Steelers draft is just low-key really good. Derek Harmon's a really good player. Yaya Black's going to be a run stuffer. This is a guy that's going to stuff the run, and he's going to play. You got him in the bottom of the 5th. That's just a steal. Jack Sawyer, he's going to be a rotational type of dude. Maybe he plays on 1st down while TJ Watt's, waiting on 3rd. Jack Sawyer have no problem with doing that. There was some talk about TJ Watt being traded. if you do make that move, you get a guy like Jack Sawyer steps in. This could end up being an A+ draft. Caleb Johnson is going to be a really, really good running back. If you haven't had a chance to watch some film on him, do so. He's very, 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 very good. All right. Go to my B+. Jack Sawyer fits that defense with his style of play. He wanted to be a Steeler. It's a perfect fit. Absolutely perfect fit. It was a great move by Pittsburgh. They just had such a really great draft. Next, I have B+. Kansas City Chiefs, Arizona Cardinal, New England Patriots. I gave Kansas City a B+. Arizona too. I gave Kansas City a B+ for two reasons. One, Omar Norman Lott, I thought was a reach. I wasn't a fan of him at the bottom of the second. I would have gone Darius Alexander a few picks later. I liked him a lot more. And I also didn't want to come across a homer. I've been following ever since the Chiefs drafted Larry. This might be my favorite draft of the Kansas City Chiefs. I had both them in Arizona originally as an A-. I bumped them down. I'll talk about Arizona here in a bit, but you rolled the dice on a couple of injury players. Bottom of the first, Josh Simmons. If he ends up being a top 5 left tackle, everybody thought he was the best left tackle in football before the injury. If he ends up being a top left tackle, the rest of the NFL's put on notice. Jalen Royals, I saw some mock drafts where he was in the first round, but most people thought he'd go in the second round. Kansas City gets him the bottom of the fourth. Here's a guy with a ton of ability as a wide receiver, and the Chiefs get him at the bottom of the fourth round. He goes to the right place, and he doesn't have to play right away. This could be an absolute steal. You only trade Watt. Well, here's the deal. There was talk about Watt wanting to be traded, and then I think it could be a cap issue, but I don't have too much of a problem with it. Okay, I'm sorry. There's something going on right outside my door here. It's one thing about my YouTube setup. I have it right next to my door, so we'll see what happens here. But this could be a cap issue. I'm not high on this guy at all. That's kind of why I gave Kansas City a B+. Plus, I didn't want to come across a homer. The Ashton Gillette pick, the Noel Williams, the Jalen Royals, I all liked much better. Noel Williams, the corner out of California, I saw on a lot of top 50 lists. I would not be surprised if he ends up being the day one starter opposite. Well, actually, I think what they're going to do, because you got Williams, there's a chance that you're going to bump McDuffie inside. Ashton Gillette, the only thing I hate about this pick is that 2 years ago you drafted Felix Anzaway. They call him FAU. You drafted him in the first round. Was it 2 years ago? Was it? Yeah, it was 2 years ago, and I really didn't like that pick. I gave the Chiefs a D+ just on that pick alone. You kind of conceded here with this the top of the third round pick that, hey, we're looking to move on from you. That's why I kind of hate it. These late round picks too are all guys. Rashad Smith, this pick, he's the 7th round. Jack Sawyer, and then you also have Alex Highsmith who had 14.5 sacks. Like they got some good players in Pittsburgh. They really do. Seriously, I would not be surprised if Pittsburgh does try and trade them. I wouldn't be surprised. This guy's going to make the team in the 7th round. This guy was 4th in all-purpose yards. I thought he was going to go in the 3rd or 4th round. He's small, but he ran a 4.39. Ranked 4th in FBS, 1977 all-purpose yards. Runner, receiver, former receiver, fits like a hand in the glove in Kansas City. You get him in the 7th round. This is a great pick. He'll make the team. Jalen Royals, bottom of the 4th round, could be a starter eventually. Noah Williams, Ashton Gillette could be starters. Lott, if he pans out, this could be an A+ draft. It all depends on Josh Simmons. Is he going to be a Pro Bowl tackle, or is he just going to be a guy? Hey, Jeff, I don't know Watt's injuries and cap me why they trade him. You never know. They may be able to get something crazy like a 2 number ones and a 30 or something nuts. Corey A.K. to Red Sea said that Arizona was way too low. I gave you a B plus. I don't know what you want. Got one of my favorite players in Walter Nolan. Will Johnson in the middle of the second was an absolute steal. Jordan Birch was a guy I loved. A couple of Ohio State guys in the fourth and fifth round. These guys are players. They got some really good players late in this draft. Hayden Connor in the bottom of the sixth is another guy who might surprise and make the team. But I love what they did. Will Johnson at the middle of the second round is an absolute steal. The injury issues, I can't really say that it's an A because there are some injury concerns here. Walter Nolan at 16, that's about where he should have gone, even though he was one of my favorite players in the draft. Jordan Birch is a guy I really liked and also really liked Cody Simon. I love what they did on the defensive side of the ball. They didn't address guard until late in the sixth round. If he ends up starting, which he probably won't, but if he does, then you never know. But I really like what they did. B plus is fair, despite of what Corey A.K. to Red Sea says. The New England Patriots, I gave them a B plus. If I remember right, too low. If I remember right, Keaton said A minus. See if I can get Keaton's A minus, yeah. The only reason I gave them, we don't need to play Will right away. The injuries are bad this year. Secondaries, yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't give you an A, but I mean, this is the team that really did good, especially with them. I love what you did in front seven. There's no argument. I just can't give you an A. With New England, I love that you had 11 players. I also like some of these players you got late. You drafted a kicker in the sixth round. Will probably be a starter. Brady Swinson, top of the fifth, eighth pick in the fifth round. He may make the team. Joshua Farmer, bottom of the fourth. I saw a lot of mock drafts where he goes in the second round. This was a great pick. Craig Woodson, safety out of Cal, give him top of the fourth, real good player. Jared Wilson may end up being a starter eventually. Trayvon Henderson, I love a lot of things about this draft. The reason why I'm giving New England a B plus instead of an A is because Will Campbell would have been the fourth or fifth best tackle in last year's draft. I love Will Campbell. Day one starter. I just don't think he's elite. Taking him in the fourth pick overall. It's hard for me to give you an A grade, but I love everything that they did. So, yeah, but I'm giving you a B plus, and it's fair. And here's the thing about all three of these teams. None of them did as well as the team I'm giving an A minus to, and that's the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns really needed a quarterback. They ended up getting Shadir Sanders in the bottom of the fifth. If it doesn't pan out with Shadir Sanders, it's no big deal because they already drafted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players ahead of him. And here's the thing about these 6 players that's not including Shadir Sanders. I love all 6 of these players. Dylan Sampson was extremely productive at Tennessee. Had something like 23 touchdowns. Yeah, he's a little undersized. He wasn't as fast as people thought. Wildly productive. Yeah, I agree. Hey, listen, B plus is great. B plus is great. By the way, if he goes to Pro Bowl year one as left tackle, eat my words. I have to go back and give it an A draft. This is a great draft. Dylan Sampson, bottom of the fourth round, he's going to make this team. He 100% will be a Brown, and he's going to be productive. Quinshon Judkins, I liked Henderson better. I don't hate this pick. You want a big physical guy, great. You get a smaller guy, Dylan Sampson. That's a nice 1-2 punch. There's a good chance that you're going to see this as the 1-2 punch for a long time in Cleveland. That's really, really great. Dylan Gabriel at the bottom of the third, slight reach, but I like his fit. And you also needed a quarterback. So I like the fact that you get Dylan Gabriel. And listen, this is fun. You got 2 quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel and Shadir Sanders, that are really good fits for this offense. And you got them fighting. And here's what you tell them. Hey, listen, we got Kenny Pickett for a 5th round pick. Joe Flacco for a ham sandwich. Just come in and be prepared to be the starter. I love it. Harold Fannin Jr. didn't have a great combine, looked like a first-round pick for a small school. Where he was going to go was interesting. If he had a better combine, you could have got him at the bottom of the first, maybe mid-second. Top of the third, I love it. First pick in the second round, Carson Schlesinger, not really a need, but this is a very, very, very good player. He's going to add to this team. He's a good locker room guy. One of these things is they got a lot of really good locker room guys here. And then Mason Graham, I think for this defense is going to be an absolute monster. And the best part is that you got a number one pick in next year's draft from Jacksonville. By the way, this could potentially be a top 5 pick. If you're going to be cheering against Jacksonville every single week, and if you go, and I mean, here's the drill: if neither of these quarterbacks work out, and Jacksonville's bad enough, you may be in position to draft a quarterback again next year, and you're going to have weapons. Harold Fannin in this offense could be this seriously. 10 years from now, we may be looking at the best player on this draft is Harold Fannin. This guy could be really good. His tape is so much fun to watch. He's the first time a MAC in the Mid-American Conference. It's the first time a tight end's ever won Player of the Year. How many tight ends do you know win Player of the Year? I know it's a small conference. Still, it's really impressive. Browns got a lot in return, second and fourth. Next year's number one. I don't get why Browns fans are mad they ain't get Hunter. Mason Graham's a dog, and it'll be a problem. Absolutely. This is a great draft. Nobody would have been mad if they took Shadir Sanders at 5. Nobody would have been. If you get him in the 5th round, you get Dylan Gabriel. You improved your weakest position of quarterback big time. This was a great draft. And Dylan Sampson, this is a guy like, and I'm raving about him more than I'm raving about Mason Graham. This guy was a lot of fun to watch at Tennessee. He set a record of, I'm going to look this up real fast here because I want to say it was 23 touchdowns, which is a Tennessee record. I know he's 5'8", 200. I don't care. Let me see here. 22 touchdowns. He broke a 95-year-old record, and the NFL Network had him between a second and third round grade. You get him in the bottom of the 4th. You also get Quinson Jenkins, tough physical runner. This is a great, great draft. Second best draft. Oh, yeah, Dylan Sampson's really good player. Second best draft. There's only one team that I thought had a better draft, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. I thought that they just absolutely won this draft. Maliki Starks didn't have a great combine. He's going to be a day one starter. He's probably going to go to multiple Pro Bowls. It's almost good that he had a bad combine because he goes to the best possible spot where he's just going to be Sam. Yeah, you have. Yeah, this is a really, really, really good pick for Cleveland. And I'm ranting and raving about a 4th round pick, but he's worthy of that. He really is. Cleveland just aced this. I really could give Baltimore an A+. To be honest, I almost want to bump everybody up. Give Baltimore an A+, give Cleveland an A, but I'm going to stick with my draft grades as is. Maliki Starks is going to go to multiple Pro Bowls. I'm telling you this right now. I think he's going to be good. I would say this almost regardless, but the fact that he's going to Baltimore, he's just going to a right situation. This guy is going to be so good. Mike Green, who I could argue is a better player in prospect. Only reason why is off the field issues. He's going to the right spot in Baltimore, and you get him in the bottom of the 2nd round. This is a team that just made their defense a lot better. Their 3rd round pick, Emory Jones, bottom of the 3rd. I really like this kid out of LSU, played a lot of football. They're calling him a tackle. I thought he would be a guard. Now, last year they drafted a right tackle. I'm going to get my names right here because here's what happened. Baltimore's offensive line really struggled. And then their 2nd round pick, Rosengarten, God, there's so many ads on our lads. Okay, bear with me 1 second here. Bear with me 1 second. I've stepped away super fast. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm awaiting an Amazon package, and my neighbor. I got a package earlier today, and my neighbor told me that he knocked on my door. He's the maintenance guy, and he's like, "Hey, I was just giving you a heads up because last time I had a package, it walked away." So that's the only reason why I stepped away is because I am expecting an Amazon package. I had some cookies today from Aunt Connie. Hopefully, the noise I heard wasn't somebody stealing my Amazon package. But here's the deal. Baltimore's offensive line really struggled. Then they moved Rosengarten into the starting lineup. They put the right tackle, who was, if I remember correctly, it was Daniel Fillet. They moved him inside, and then everything just started to kick. They drafted Andrew Voorhees. He got injured. Was it his pro day? He's now starting. They re-signed Ronnie Stanley, who's an older guy. There's a chance Emory Jones may take over eventually for Ronnie Stanley. I thought he was a better fit at guard, but they're calling him a tackle. So right now he's going to be the swing tackle. He'll eventually be a left tackle. You get him at the bottom of the third round, or he could be eventual right tackle. I'm not exactly sure, but I just thought he had a second round grade. Then they went back to Alabama A&M at the top of the third round. Carson Vincent didn't have a great Senior Bowl, but he's 6'7", 315. Ravens like big, huge tackles. That's what this guy is. You get him in top of the fifth. It's no big loss. I think for Baltimore, could eventually be a starter. Then you get a kicker from Arizona. He will make the team. They got some really good picks late. They got some really, really good picks late. But what they did in the first 3 rounds was they got players that are going to help this team out. Now, Emory Jones may not help instantly, but, I mean, you got some offensive line solidification. Ronnie Stanley not been able to stay healthy. He's, 32, 33? Helps if I hit the right player. Ronnie Stanley is going to be he's younger than I thought. He's actually 31. So he's had some injury issues. He's been in the NFL for a long time. So I absolutely love what the Ravens did. But here's a drill. You get a guy that in Mike Green, you get him in the bottom of the second. This is going to be an absolute stud. Blakey Starks is going to go be at multiple Pro Bowls. This pick from Cal, he's going to contribute right away. I just absolutely love what they did. Kind of looking at this, I'm almost thinking I should bump a lot of these up, maybe give Cleveland and Baltimore A's. I can make a strong case of all 3 of these teams deserving A's. I really want to bump all 4 of these up. I want to bump several of these up. So it's not this draft is this grading system that I use. I really struggled. I have literally 4 pages worth of notes for all the trades. I graded every single trade except for one. I just wrote push. I graded every single player in the first 3 rounds. I gave them all individual grades, all 102 picks. Then I went ahead and did a mock draft ranking, and then I did my final, and then I realized I left off a couple teams. But originally I had so many teams I was in between on. Teams I gave bad grades to, I didn't give you bad grades because I didn't really like where you're doing. It's like what other teams did better. I wanted winners and losers. Years ago, I remember, I think it was the Saints, and this was over 20 years ago. I remember everybody thought the Saints had a bad draft, and I saw a draft grade where the Saints had a B. And I was like, wow, I saw all these bad grades. And I went back, and turns out B was the absolute lowest grade that this guy had. He had A+, A-, and one team got a B, and I'm dead set and determined never to do that. So I get a little harsh on teams that draft. I got a little upset my brown suit get receiver, but he's picked up Deontay Johnson. That's a good pickup. That is a good pickup. And that Yeah, Cleveland did not address receiver. They did, okay, let me rephrase that. They didn't address receiver, but Harold Fannin is going to do a lot of things for you. So that's kind of my thought process there. So I really like what they did. I really liked what Cleveland did quite a bit. The only team I liked more was Baltimore, but I can make a strong case because you get another first round pick next year. So I have to find out what goes on. But I absolutely love what Baltimore did. I love what Cleveland did. I loved what my Chiefs did. This is probably my favorite draft. That the Chiefs have had since Larry Johnson. I was a big Larry Johnson fan. Back then I used to be a Penn State fan. That was before the scandal. So I was a big Penn State fan and I loved Larry Johnson. I told everybody Chiefs are going to draft Larry Johnson. This was when they had Priest Holmes. A lot of people thought it was nuts, but this draft might be my favorite Chiefs draft. I didn't want to be a homer, so I gave him a B plus, but also because if they would have taken Alexander, I might have to give them an A minus. But the Chiefs had a great draft. As far as Lions fans aren't happy with my grade, I get that. It's just that it's not the players as much as it was the trades here. I mean, I go through here. I didn't like. Here's the drill. They traded with Denver to get the 57th pick. They gave up 60 and 130. All right, and I really that it's just a lot. And I said, okay, well, Tate Rutledge, I like the player. Could you have got him in a couple other picks? Maybe. The player Denver got was the running back out of UCF. I didn't think he was significantly better. I gave Detroit a C minus on that grade. But the trade to Jacksonville, they got 70, which was Isaac Tesla. That was a big reach. And you got pick 182. You gave up 102, which I think you could have jumped up in the 90. I honestly think you could have got Tesla at 102. That's why I hate this. You gave up 2 compensatory third round picks. A lot of people did. A lot of people. I remember Funk said, "Well, their compensatory picks are not that big of a deal." I think they're a huge deal because it's 2. You could have given just 1 to jump up, and he's a guy I think that would have been there. That's why I didn't like it. I gave them a D on that trade. I think they had another trade though I liked. They were very active in this draft here, if I remember correctly. If I remember correctly, I thought they had one more trade. Here. This was kind of a push. They traded up to 171 for Miles Frazier, which I really liked. That's why I gave it a B to B plus. New England went to 182 and 228. And I gave New England a decent grade on that. Let me see, what did they do with that off the top of my head? Oh yeah, the 182, they got the kicker, and then 228. They actually traded 228 to Kansas City, got 251 and 257, and they got a long snapper who may make the team. So I think as a Kansas City got that running back out of SMU, the owner of the Chiefs went to SMU. So I didn't understand why people was mad that the Browns had 2 running back. Nick Chubb's gone, and there's talk about him coming back, but until he comes back, I love that they got 2 running backs. Dan, I'd like to talk to you about team building and draft capital. Dan, you and everybody else always get bad or bad great people to talk about. He's a reach all the time, and the comp picks would be a big deal with Lions, but they are built. That's not really fair because 2 years ago I gave you guys a B plus, and I said you reached, but I still gave you guys a B plus. So I'm not really sure that I gave them a much higher grade than a lot of people did. Was it last year? I gave them B plus. Didn't I give you guys a B plus last year, right? No, you know what? Last year I gave you guys a B plus. I think I gave you guys a B or B plus because you traded up for a Terrion Arnold, and I loved it. So team building and draft. God, all this hate here for just because I gave the Lions a bad grade. But the one thing is that the Lions are built. I mean, that's not disputable. But trading away picks when you don't need to for a guy that I'm not very high on is always going to get a bad grade. How do you feel about fullback getting drafted for Quinn Ewers? I liked Ewers. I'm going to tell you something. I really liked Quinn Ewers. I really liked Quinn Ewers, and I'm not sure why he slid so far in this draft. I think that he's going to the right team though, because I think Miami did not address the offensive. Oh, they did. They got a guard. I'm calling him a guard, even though he played some left tackle, but he's listed as a guard, so I'm going to call him that. But if he starts at left tackle, it might be a little different. If that's the case, then we'll have to figure it out. But Quinn Ewers, I think, has a good opportunity to start down the line. But he may end up winning a backup job, 7th-round pick. Yeah, you giving the Lions a good grade. Okay, Funk. I don't want you mad at me because you've been with me for so long, and I respect your opinion, and I respect you, and I can't thank you enough for joining my live stream. I miss doing this. I want to do this a lot more often. I don't want to promise. I'm going to do something because I am off for the NFL release. I may not be live, but I might just do something for the Chiefs. I haven't really decided. There's a small possibility I may do the draft release live and kind of talk about it live and some things I'm looking forward to. I'm also might just do a Chiefs video. I've done that in the past. We'll have to kind of wait and see. Yeah, your grade on Lions is fair because of overpayment. We gave up 3 starters for 1. I was surprised you gave the Browns an A-. A lot of people gave them a B- or a B. No, I gave them. Here's the thing about the Browns. Getting the pick, getting a first round from Jacksonville, that if that ends up being a top 10 pick, this is easily an A draft. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, you have no idea what Jacksonville's going to do, but here's what you know for a fact is that they've been a bad team for the last couple of years. They got a guy that's never been a head coach before. He was an offensive coordinator for the first time for 1 year. And a lot of the reason they had success is because they lucked out on the 4th-round pick and Bucky Brooks. Nobody really saw him being that type of dude. Nobody saw it. And, I can make a case that division's up for grabs, but I didn't give the Colts a great grade, but I like what they did. They got questions at quarterback, which is fair. But if they figure a guy out and he ends up, if Anthony Richardson lives up to being a top 5 pick, that's a dangerous team. Daniel Jones ends up living up to being the 6th pick overall. That's going to be a good team. All right. Houston, they've been the team that's won the division the last 2 years. I kind of like what they've done, sort of. The one thing I will say is that they have a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th-round pick. I think that there's some movement. I wouldn't be surprised at the trade deadline if Houston makes a move, regardless of position. Like, whether they're 6-1 or 3-5 or whatever it is. They have all that draft capital. It wouldn't surprise me if they use it. But Mason Graham, I loved. Schlesinger, I loved. I was higher on Henderson than Judkins, but I get why you want the more physical back. Listen, Dylan Gabriel, I loved it. Dylan Sampson, and then you have the lottery pick of all lottery picks. If Shadir Sanders starts any game at all, this is an A+ draft. He doesn't have to be a starter. Maybe they throw him in. Maybe Kenny Pickett gets hurt. Maybe Joe Flacco, who's 42, isn't the same guy. So, oh God, no! I seriously look at this defense. I said this on Keaton's show. I said if they draft Abdul Carter, and he pans out, the Browns are going to the playoffs. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Cleveland, and you shouldn't. This defense is going to be amazing. And I mean, I know Baltimore's tough, but in Pittsburgh, I don't know what they're doing. Cincinnati has a lot of holes on defense. They got a new defensive coordinator. They have some holes on the offensive line. Who knows what's going on there? I can't Cleveland win 10 to 12 games this year. So let's see. I'm going to wrap this up. Listen, my social media is below. If you're not subscribed to me on social media, do subscribe to me on social media. You can also email me at dantalksfootball@yahoo.com. It's better to DM me on social media. I'll answer everything within 24 hours. I'm not decided what I'm going to do for the schedule release. If I do decide to go live, I'll try to let everybody know sooner. Thank you so much for tuning in to me today. And I hope to see you guys back. Hopefully really, really soon. So you guys have a good night, man. Hey, good luck on Cleveland, man. Go Cavs. Thanks, Jeff.